Well, let's okay, good segue. Let's move to
Yeah.
that. Avi, look, I mean, you've been a trailblazer in science on this and related issues, and your most recent work on this interstellar object is not yet well known even to people who follow this and related science. So maybe you could just say a word about the significance of this and why I think you've got data on this, which is even more compelling than you did on Oumuamua.
Well, first, I wanted to salute Congresswoman Luna for her vision and her courage in addressing this subject. And I think we have a lot of things in common. We both started in the military. We both did not lose our childhood curiosity. When there is something anomalous, we want to figure it out and not listen to stories of people who pretend to be the adults in the room. Now, of course, this subject has connotations in the context of national security. And of course, that needs to be attended to. But if it has any scientific merit, we better figure it out. And most recently, on July 1st, there was the third interstellar object that was discovered and appeared to be very unusual, very anomalous in terms of its size and trajectory. The size, based on its brightness, if it's just a solid surface reflecting sunlight, the size was inferred to be between 20 and 46 kilometers. That's a huge object, and there is not enough rocky material in interstellar space to deliver such a rock to the vicinity of Earth over a period of a decade. You would expect it to come once per several tens of thousands of years. And it's 1 million times more massive than the previous interstellar objects, Oumuamua and Borisov. I had actually a very brief question that I wanted to ask Representative Luna. One of the interesting facts about the anomalous interstellar objects, Oumuamua and Atlas, is that they were red. Do you think that superhuman intelligence is more likely to believe in the principles of the Republican Party?
No, I think when we're talking about the potential of life on other planets and in other galaxies, I don't think that there's necessarily a political loyalty there. So,
right. But at any event, so this object, 3I Atlas, aside from the fact that it was so big, and that implies perhaps that it's targeting the inner solar system, has nothing to do with rocks in interstellar space. It actually moved on a trajectory that is perfectly aligned with the planets around the sun, and the likelihood of that happening at random is 1 in 500. So that's very peculiar, and it attracted my attention. And more recently, there was a plume of gas that was detected around it by several observatories, the Webb telescope in particular, and also the SPHEREX Space Observatory. And they found that the composition of that plume is very different than typical comets. It's mostly carbon dioxide, 95% by mass, and only 5% water. And the very large telescope detected nickel, but no iron. And we usually separate nickel and iron in making nickel alloys industrially. Nature doesn't do that. Nickel and iron appear together. They are produced in exploding stars with comparable quantities. And in all comets in the past, we saw nickel and iron together. And here we find only nickel with an upper limit on iron. And that's another anomaly. And I simply argue that, in science, we decide the nature of an object based on data, based on evidence. So let's collect as much data as possible. That's my point, because this object appears anomalous. And just like Congresswoman Luna, witnesses some resistance in the political circles, I find the resistance within academia to an agnostic study of such anomalies. Because the so-called comet experts, they insist they know the answer in advance. And even when there are anomalies, in the case of Oumuamua, the argument was maybe it's a dark comet where you can't see the cometary tail. It's just like looking at an elephant and saying the elephant is a zebra without stripes. The stripes are used to label a zebra, to find that the animal you're looking at is a zebra. So how can they say that it must be a comet, but you don't see the cometary tail? That's an oxymoron. And moreover, there is a lot of resistance to discussing the possibility of us finding objects like the ones that we produced. We produced a lot of space objects, and on January 2nd, there was an asteroid that was declared by the Minor Planet Center to be a near-Earth rock. And then within a day, they realized that one moves along the trajectory of the car, the Tesla Roadster car that was launched by SpaceX in 2018. And then they said, oh no, we take it out of the catalog. The only reason they were able to do that is because we knew that humanity launched this particular object. Otherwise, they would declare it as a rock. And so we have to be careful about experts declaring things as rocks in the sky, because we produce some space objects. And the question is whether other civilizations did as well. And of course, the UAP subject is a derivative of that, because if we are visited by a technological object like 3I Atlas, it could either visit us or release some mini probes that arrive at Earth and appear as UAP. And we need to be aware of that possibility.